Welcome back to Morning in America. So the price of prescription drugs is going way up. The AARP reporting the top 25 brand name drugs Medicare Part D spends the most on have tripled in price since coming on the market. But look at the top five. Lantus and Enbrel, both up more than 700% in price. Novolog had a 628% price hike. Humira up 562%. And Levomir, I believe that's how you say that, nearly quadrupling in price. The CDC reports 9 million Americans will skip doses in an effort to make the meds last longer because of the cost. Let's bring in AARP's prescription drug policy principal, Leigh Purvis, here to Morning in America. Thanks so much for being here. How do these price hikes calculate into out-of-pocket expenses? Because I'm sure some of these drugs are just, a few dollars. But when you take them and multiply them times 700%, that's a lot.
Well, actually, some of these drugs cost well into the thousands and 10 times over $100,000 per year. So that can translate into some pretty significant out-of-pocket costs. And when we're talking about people who are on Medicare, which is where these drugs are used a lot, we often see people who are paying something called co-insurance, where you're paying a percentage of the drug's price. And so we've been hearing about a lot of people who've been spending thousands of dollars per year on out-of-pocket costs on these drugs alone.
Wow. How are drug companies justifying raising prices that much?
There are a lot of reasons that drug companies use to justify their drug prices, but the reality is that we just don't have anything in the U.S. market to stop them from setting these remarkably high prices and increasing them anytime they want. And unfortunately, we're seeing the consequences of that.
One of the drugs on the list, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, is Ozempic, a diabetes medication that's been used for weight loss. Since 2017, it's had a price increase of just 38%. Not much compared to the other diabetes drugs we mentioned, but is the price going up more because of demand?
That certainly is a reason that we see prices go up. There are a lot of reasons that drug companies use to justify it. Sometimes they say they're spending more on research and development. But again, it really comes down to the fact that they have a lot of pricing power. And so we see these types of price increases year after year.
I'm thinking if people want to save money, they just go for generics. But do all of these drugs have a generic or low-priced option?
That's a great question. Yeah, generics are definitely a really good option for people who are looking to save money. But these drugs typically don't have generics. So when someone is prescribed one of these expensive drugs, they unfortunately don't have a lot of options other than paying for that drug.
The Inflation Reduction Act addresses the cost of prescription drugs. How would this help?
It does in a variety of ways. So one really important change is that drug companies are now going to be penalized for increasing their prices faster than the rate of inflation. So the types of price increases that are in this report hopefully will no longer happen. And another really big important change is that Medicare is now going to be allowed to negotiate the prices of drugs that the program spends a lot on. And in fact, a lot of the drugs on the list in this report are drugs that are going to be negotiated starting this year.
Well, looks like they hiked all those prices up just in time to be told no more, no mas. Leigh Purvis, thanks for being here from AARP. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.